hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Diamond Effect Podcast. And I'm very excited today because today it's a special episode. I have one of my clients, a member of Diamond Effect Coaching Group, that I'm here with me and we'll talk about her journey, all things entrepreneurship. So, welcome, Stefanie. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Maggie, for having me.
All right, so let's get started. Stefanie, introduce yourself to everybody, what you do, where you live, wherever you want to say about yourself.
As Stephanie's my name, and I also introduce myself to many people as a freak in the sheets, just to get attention. The business is really around creating customized spreadsheet solutions for businesses. So that's what I do. I'm in Hamilton, Ontario, but I have clients all over North America.
And I love it. You bring a lot of value to your customers, but it's very unique what you do. You have a very cool niche. If you could just share a quick story of how you started the business, like where did the idea come from, what prompted it, and the why behind it?
It was actually quite accidental, and it happened years before I actually quit my job and started the business. In that my husband was meeting with his mother's financial advisor after his father passed away. And the fellow, he was just telling him about our family. And the fellow said, "Do you think she would do a project for me?" Because he had mentioned, I love Excel and all things Excel. And he's like, "Oh, I'll ask her." So I did. And I had so much fun doing this project and the value I brought for him. He just treasured what I did. Said I've saved his company hundreds of hours. And I realized for the first time, people would pay me for this? I couldn't believe it. So I was doing something I absolutely love and getting to play. I get to play and get paid. And then that sort of was the idea. It got born years before I did it. And then I just had to start a journey of getting to where I am today.
So before we get to that journey, I do want to say, because sometimes people think, oh, Excel, but if you're just a basic user or you think you're a good user of Excel, like Stefanie's knowledge is like 100 miles further away. Because I've interviewed a lot of people asking them about Excel. And I remember, like, of course, everybody sees themselves differently. And somebody would tell me, like, oh, I'm pretty good. And then they weren't even as good as I am. And I'm not so good. Like, I can do basic stuff. And I dealt with financial analysts and they were really good in Excel. And still, they were nowhere near to where you are. And Excel is very powerful. So if you could give just a couple of examples of things you helped clients with, and how does it really look like you helping somebody? Give us a couple examples.
One of my most surprising clients and my favorite client currently is a large accounting firm. And I would have never thought that they'd be an ideal client because they're full of Excel experts. But their challenge is that they have a system that houses their CRM invoicing, customer hours, billable hours, everything. And the problem is getting the data out of that in a format that they can work with to build dashboards, general reports, HR reports, marketing. It doesn't even matter. It comes out in a format that takes them a few hours to massage and manipulate. And either their staff doesn't have the knowledge how to do it or they don't have the time to do it. They've hired me to do that. And I've created numerous reports and dashboards for them, and they just find that invaluable. Now they're getting to new levels of dashboards where they're getting business intelligence out of their raw data, literally at the click of a button, which previously would have taken hours, or they just didn't even know how to extract that information or data intelligence out of their numbers. That's just one example of where I've helped even a company that's full of Excel gurus.
Yeah. And I also know that you help a lot, for example, firms or companies that have sales teams, right?
Yes.
Tracking the sales and even sales managers, helping them like understand their team performance, right? That's also like a common thing that you do for your clients.
Yes. So executive level support is great for me. I love working with them because their time is absolutely valuable. They should not be spending hours in Excel at all, aside from whatever information they need. So yeah, I've done a lot of streamlining there, giving them their reports and their team's reports so they all know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Fun.
Great. Okay, so let's move on to your sort of entrepreneurial journey. And I know you started your business a little bit before you quit your job, right? So just like
Mhm.
me, started as a side hustle, and then you transitioned from the 9 to 5 to just running your business. So talk a little bit about that transition. Tell us maybe like things, what fears came up. We all know that it's not easy to transition this way. What helped you to finally make that move?
I started by, again, it was not a planned thing. I just got invited to a BNI, started networking. This is a couple of years or maybe a year and a bit before I quit my job, just to start building a network, surrounding myself with people who are experts in running businesses, and they were my mentors. And then I met you as well. At some point, thought, I'm going to bet on myself and invest in a coach. That was you. The biggest fear I had was leaving a cushy job. I only worked part-time, which is what allowed me to do the side hustle 2 days a week. At a part-time salary, I made really good money
Mhm,
for what I was doing. And it was, I know no job is fully secure, but it was probably as secure as it could come. I'd spent a lifetime in this business and
mhm,
had quite
mhm,
some seniority. So my biggest fear was leaving the income
mhm.
and the comfort of that.
So how did you deal with it? What helped you make the decision?
Just once I started coaching and networking
Mhm,
and seeing that there actually is a market out there for me and that there were clients there that I could find or they would find me,
mhm,
that started to give me the confidence that there is a possibility of a business for me.
mhm,
The other factor of that was I wasn't quite happy where I was. So I wanted to not work for somebody else anymore. I wanted to be appreciated because this is the other thing I started to get out of it as I was doing projects for other companies or clients. Their appreciation for what I did was just suddenly became my why. I got so much joy out of their reactions
mhm,
of what I did for them. And I can't even it's not even proper to say some of the reactions because some of them swore in a kind way, but it would filled my heart because I was just like, oh my goodness, these people really appreciate me. And I didn't feel like I had that in
mhm,
my career job, if you will. So that kind of lit a fire. I wanted to do more of that, be more appreciative. So as I realized there's people out there that value what I do, they love what I
mhm.
do, they fill my tank, if you will, my love tank.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're filling that part for me that I wasn't getting before. That motivated me and spurred me on. And then it's not easy. It wasn't easy to start. It was
Mhm,
really hard for my husband who's retired, but you have to have the faith and you just do all the right things with some help, professional guidance from you and some others. And it just grows. And
yeah.
now I've probably gone off track.
No, it's all good. When I think about me, it was the same. Starting a business on the side, but then treating it seriously enough to get growing to really see, is that a viable business, right? Because just like you, I had a very good salary of a corporate leader, benefits, all those things. So it was scary for me to just leave it on the whim. But once I started seeing, hey, when I treat this business seriously, yes, it's a side hustle for now, but it's not a hobby anymore. I do want to grow it. Then seeing clients, seeing it, and saying, okay, yeah, I can grow it, right? I can go from there. And then definitely the fulfillment part was the same, right? When we feel like our work makes a difference and we see that difference in our clients, that's so much more fulfilling than, I don't know, entering the numbers to a spreadsheet and not seeing anywhere it goes. So, like with me, just dealing with large institutions where you really don't see where your work is going and there's not much different going on. So, I definitely relate to that. So now let's go about, because as you say, entrepreneurship, it's not easy. There could be everybody's in a different situation, but just what you mentioned, sometimes when we move into entrepreneurship and people around us have never been entrepreneurs, and whether it's our spouse or parents or
Mhm.
siblings or friends, they don't really understand the journey. So it can be hard and it can feel lonely sometimes to go on that because it's very different than a 9 to 5, right? So how did you maybe navigate that challenge? Because I know it was hard for you at times. How did you navigate it to overcome and not let go or not give up? Just keep going no matter what people around you were telling you.
Honestly, Maggie, it was a lot of your coaching that helped me with the mindset and plowing through and having the belief and the confidence that this will happen and get to the point that I need it to. Like on a personal level, that was just a lot of conversations, hard conversations, and maybe a tough season with my
Mhm.
spouse. But we're through the first hardest part of it. And now he's seeing like my fire and the joy and the clientele coming. Like it's been a great start to the year. And now he's full of optimism. I'm full of optimism. But it was just hard. How I
Mhm.
got through it really was just talking with other people who've gone through it. That was you and many others in my circles. You just have to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs who can relate because my husband was a public sector worker as a teacher, so he does not understand it at all. I have a lot of people in my family that don't understand it, and he thought I was crazy. What are you doing?
In
Um,
in a way, we can't blame them. Like if someone
right.
spend their whole life as an employee or public sector employee on top of that and so on, you can't blame them. They don't know any other reality, right? So it's not. And as you say, our job is just to surround ourselves with people who understand, who might have either gone through that journey and then they are still in it, but at a different level, or maybe they're going through it at the same time, but they are understanding the process. They know that even though it's hard now, it's not going to be hard, the same hard forever, and that this is a necessary path, right? So then keep you motivated and help you going. Okay, so
Mhm.
as you're talking about that, let's move to talk a little bit about business owner mindset versus employee mindset and making that transition because it is a process. And we talked about it last week during our coaching call, where I've noticed even myself, it's not a transition. Oh, I quit my job. And yes, on paper, I'm like, let's say, full time business owner. But in my mind, that takes time to completely switch, right? And you've been at it for a year now where you're on your business. So, what changes have you seen in yourself as far as employee thinking versus a business owner, founder, CEO thinking?
Yeah, and I'm still working at that, honestly, because I think when we do something we
Mm.
love and that's fun and it's passion, we'd rather be in the work.
Mhm.
So for me, I'm still working at the regular CEO time and putting that hat on. But I have realized the value of it because when I don't do it, if I don't take the time for strategic planning, assessing how I'm doing, like all the things I need to do to grow my business and keep
Mm.
growing it, if I'm not doing that, my business suffers and I get into a slump. So I think it's just a journey of making mistakes, like putting the CEO time off to the side and then learning from that. Well, oh, that's not working well because now I don't have clients. And then when you start doing all the things you need to do, oh, I have clients. That's how it works. And then the other thing I've learned is there's things in my business I absolutely hate doing. They're not my favorite things in the world, but I've been able to make a mindset shift around realizing that every business owner, no matter what the business, whether they're a entrepreneur, even a senior manager in a company, it doesn't matter. There's always aspects to our jobs that we don't like.
Mhm.
And maybe as a business owner, that ratio changes. Maybe there's more things we don't like. But I've shifted my mindset to say, okay, those are things I don't really care to do, but they're necessary. Maybe one day there's a few things I will hire out. I've already started to do that in some areas where I've gotten
Yeah.
other help. You just realize that's just part of the deal. And then if I do those things, then I also get to have that time of joy, the things I love to do. It's just that balance that I'm working on finding.
Yeah, it's always a process, right? Because in the
Mhm.
beginning, you're everything. And sometimes I
Yeah.
talk to entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I didn't sign up for it. But I'm like, yeah, you did. When you start an entrepreneurship, I always say it's like having babies. Like, who likes to change diapers and deal with a crying baby? But that just comes with a package, right? Not
Yeah.
all the time when the baby's cute and happy and so on. It's the same with the business. But as we grow, we definitely can outsource some of that, right? And then
Mhm.
of it will just stay just because, or there will be new things that we need to do that now we're not necessarily always enjoying. But then I think that the reward of having your own business and doing what you love and helping people that way grows that way. So let's talk about some skills because, as you said, when you start a business, there's a bunch of things you got to do that maybe you didn't realize, but you didn't know. Oh, those are actually skills that I need to learn, right? In order to get my business off the ground and keep growing it. What are some skills that you had to grow to be successful in growing a business?
The biggest one for me has been the networking skills. People who know me now are surprised to learn that naturally I was actually very shy and quiet. And my natural bent is when we would be in social situations is hide behind my husband and let him take the lead because he's the more social one and able to talk to anyone and everyone and have confidence in just being myself. That's taken time. But now I have this confidence that I can talk to anybody. It's taken also time to learn what can I tell people about myself in a way that resonates. Those are all things you have to learn. So the networking has been my biggest growth and also was my initial challenge because I didn't really like it. I don't know that I always like it still, but it is what it is. And I like people, even if I'm not naturally comfortable in a big room of strangers. It's okay. I find the people that are off to the side or the wall, or maybe I've done some research ahead of time. So now I know that I can do that and find the people I want to talk to strategically, perhaps. All
Mhm.
those things I've had to learn.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a great point you're bringing because networking was definitely one of the skill sets I had to acquire. I didn't network that much in my corporate world, and it can be intimidating when you're naturally introverted, self included. But playing to your strengths really helps. So you mentioned, oh, I like people, right? And networking is about meeting people. So when you frame it that way, then it helps you. For me, it was, oh, I like to learn about people, about other things. So once I started reframing that, being in a group of people I didn't know, it has become much, much easier for me. You got to know yourself. And even for me as an introvert, I need to modulate the amount of meetings with strangers I have every week and to make sure that I get my rest and recharge, right?
Yes, it's exhausting.
That it first sure for us
Mhm.
introverts. So let's talk now a little bit about consistency because I've been thinking about lately about consistency and the thoughts I have. In a way, in entrepreneurship, you have to be consistent first before you can learn any other skills. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're starting a business and you don't know much about marketing and sales and you got to learn it, right? Those are two really important skills for any entrepreneur to learn. But in order to understand marketing and sales for your business and learn it, you first have to be consistent doing it. So then you can review, you mentioned that in your CO time. So then you can look at that and say, okay, I'm doing this for X amount of time consistently. What is working? What isn't working? How can I improve? Right. So in order to improve and grow any skills, you have to be consistent first. So I want to ask your opinion. What do you think, like what role consistency plays in even your business growth?
I mentioned it earlier too with the networking when I got inconsistent and I stopped doing the things I need to do, my business dropped off. And so I do have now targets where I want to visit specific, like target intentional new networks a couple times a month, stepping outside of what my normal networking is. And if I do those things consistently, also have consistent one-to-ones that again, I try to pick as strategic as I
Mm,
can.
You know,
If I keep doing those things, it doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be maybe a couple new meetings a month, a couple of one-to-ones a month with new people, or a week, I should say. That just is enough to grow my business. But if I stop it altogether, it doesn't work. And now if I flip that, if I go too far the other way, where I'm doing too many new networking or too many
mhm.
one-to-ones, my business suffers. I don't have time then to do the other things I need to do. Not just speaking of the work, like I love the work. That always distracts me. Then I don't do the other things. It's what I got to learn to still focus on. But it's other things like making sure I've done my bookkeeping and logging, like all those things you need to do for the CRA, for example. or my website or the reviews or my social media posts. Like all that stuff has to be done regularly. And if I don't, I do feel I can see my business suffer when I don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
So finding that balance in the tasks that or activities that you need to complete, especially as a service provider, right? Because we have when you deliver service, there's also time that you take to fulfill the commitments, right? So the
Mhm.
client buys whatever you offer and then you got to fulfill it. So being consistent in marketing your business, however it looks like for Stephanie, it's predominantly networking, but marketing your business and then while delivering your service, while also doing maybe other things, like that balance is very important. And of course, it will look different for every business. So, quickly talk about what is currently like the hardest part of being an entrepreneur and also the best part about being an entrepreneur for you.
The best part is the freedoms.
You know?
We finally, this past January, had our first go at me working in Florida. Now, it was cold, but whatever. It was the point of we were able to travel and I could be anywhere in the world now and do what I want. That to me is huge. And I want
Mhm.
that freedom. Or if my children need me for whatever, I have adult children and two of them, they don't live anywhere near me. But if they
Yeah.
need me, I have the freedom to go. And
Mhm.
I'm not responsible to anyone else. I'm responsible to me and my
Mhm.
clients. That's it.
Mhm.
So that is the biggest reward. And then the hardest part is just right now as mindset is the confidence that
Mhm.
I can continue and constantly find the work and constantly get paid for what I do. Like that, the income, that's the trust. I'm still working on trusting the process and trusting the longevity of this.
Mhm. Mhm. And it's definitely a work in progress. Like we have to have, I think with that, you have to have enough proof for our brain to click in. And that proof is created by you, first, of course, trusting yourself, but then consistently doing the activities, right? Doing marketing your business, selling the business, spreading the word. Because ultimately, the more people know about you and remember you, the more of the opportunities come your way.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then you've been part of Diamond Effect Group coaching specifically, so coaching with me for, I don't
Yes.
remember, a year, over a year. So talk a little bit about maybe how being in the group and that setting and coaching helped you on your journey.
The big thing is you're not alone. And I'm in the group one. So even if I'm just listening and it may not be applicable to me in the moment, I'm always learning from other people's struggles.
Mhm.
And the other thing I love is if I can help contribute to somebody else's, like we're working, I feel then we're not alone. We're in a team. We've got some amazing guidance. Even if it's not coming from you, it's coming from somebody else. That to me has been so rewarding. But the best is just not being alone in our journey and knowing that we're all in it together. Everybody shares the same or similar struggles and we can overcome them and seeing some success, like some huge successes from other entrepreneurs. And as we're growing and learning, it's so fun. So much fun to see us women, it's mostly women power. We got it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it also reinforces that belief because you're seeing, hey, like there are entrepreneurs like me, right? Their challenges are the same. And yet, with help and putting your mind to it, growing the skill set and consistency, they're succeeding, meaning if they can, I can. And then you get to cheer them on, they cheer you on, you contribute. Then there is this sense of community that also, I think, as I say, makes you not feel alone and be more motivated and keep going.
It's also good to have a weekly check-in. That is part of that consistency. And
Yes.
I don't know, you have this amazing ability to, even if I don't know what I need, you know what I need. I don't know how you do that, but you do.
That's my genius, knowing what my needs, even if they don't know.
It's magic to me. It's like my spreadsheet magic to other people. You have this other magic.
That's right. So, anything else that maybe you want to add that we haven't covered or we've forgotten to talk about?
I can't think of anything except that anybody listening who has not got a business coach, whether it's you or somebody else, I think I would strongly encourage anyone considering starting a business. I started with you before I ever quit my job.
Mm.
Um, Don't wait. Just it's actually easier to hire a coach when you still have a job because then you can feel you can afford it. Get a coach that resonates with you, fits with your style, and jump on board. I would not have done this without you or the others in the group or even in some of my networks. Just you need other entrepreneurs, but I would highly, highly recommend a business coach. And I know you didn't mean to interview me for a pitch, but that is, I have learned and I've encouraged so many people. It's a must have.
Yeah.
Any entrepreneur. Any.
And it's much helpful. It feels you, it lets, I think it allows you to feel more confident. You go faster too, right? Like in further. And it's all because of that. Like you're really building skills much more faster, whatever gaps you have, right? In order to
Yes.
grow your business, you feel more motivated. You have that support where the journey again can be alone. So it's so much harder if you don't, right?
Yeah. And we have blind spots. Like we don't know what we don't know. And that's where that gap gets filled to guide us.
So before we finish, tell people where they can find you, where they can connect with you.
So I am on LinkedIn and that's under Stefanie Carroll. My website, which also has LinkedIn links if you want to go there, Excelerates.ca. So it's spelled www.excelerates.ca. That's where you can find me. I would say that's the best place to find me.
That's beautiful. And we'll put it in the show notes. So we'll link that up for everybody who's watching. Thank you very much, Stefanie. I really
Thanks for having me.
doing this. And thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you.